The place that we make artwork is a magical place, regardless how big or small it may be. It's a place for us just to be ourselves, not worrying about what others think of us, but just a place for us to learn more about who we are as a person. The place where we make art should be a place free of any judgment. It should be a place where your creativity is able to flow. So it's time for us to get started. Welcome to my studio.
Alright, we know what we're doing, so let's get started. I have my picture of myself on my computer. If you want to draw from real life, then you can draw from real life. We're going to do continuous line drawing of ourselves.
Today we're going to be practicing a continuous line contour drawing. Contour meaning a line, continuous meaning we're using one line to make the entire thing. So as I do this, watch, I will not pick up my pencil, and if I do, I'll go right back off to where I was drawing last.
And I'm not going to worry about putting variation in my line. I'm just going to get this line put down. Again, I'm not worrying about individual little tiny details. I'm not putting my individual freckles or anything crazy like that. I am simply getting basic, big shapes in there. Just enough so that this image pulls itself together. Now I have my image, and maybe it looks like you, maybe it doesn't. Mine looks like I am terrified and making a weirdly weird face, and I got hit in the face with a frying pan. That's okay, just have fun with it. Alright, what I'm going to have you do now is you're going to take all of your image and close the shapes. I'm going to say that again. Close the shapes. If you see an area and it's just a rogue line by itself, make it into a shape. So I'm looking through right now, and up, I got an open shape there. I'm going to close that up. And I'm looking through. Close that up. Close that up. I'm closing my shapes. Usually when we're doing continuous line drawing, we don't have too many rogue lines by themselves. When you get done with this, guess what? Photograph it. That's all you were doing. You're just trying to make a continuous line drawing, but this time really showing individual shapes. But first, I want you to make sure you get a nice photograph of this and upload it.
Don't log off this video. Please read the recap and stay tuned for the second part.
You've got your image or you've got your visual that you're physically looking at. The first thing you need to decide is, should your paper be in portrait, that's the direction this paper's in now, or should it be in landscape? If your image tends to be longer, wider, but not tall, then you definitely want to be in landscape. If your image is more vertically aligned, like a portrait, then you want to be in portrait. Today, my image is going to be of a gentleman named Mr. Fan. He works in Chinatown in Manhattan. I've had the opportunity to be down there several times. I've actually gotten to see Mr. Chan at his booth working. And here's the thing, I love Chinatown. I love going to Manhattan. Chinatown is amazing. The sights, the smells, all of the atmosphere that is there is just, you can't see it anywhere else that I know of in America. It is just solid. It is amazing. Anyhow, I'm going to draw this scene from this photograph from Chinatown. I'm doing a photograph myself because it's a rainy day outside. I don't really want to try to do drawing outside on a rainy day. I don't really feel like sitting in front of windows. So it's a lot easier for me to work right here, and then you're also able to see me physically create this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to focus right now on Mr. Fan himself. Everything else we'll get to. So looking at him more than I'm looking at my pencil. I'm letting my eyes and my hand go at the same speed. As my eyes and my hand go at the same speed, what I'm really doing is I'm actually looking at him, well, his photograph. I'm not looking at my drawing as much. I look at my drawing briefly just to see where my placement is, see if I need to move my pencil over. I'm not thinking about the fact that I'm drawing Mr. Fan. I am thinking about what direction do these lines go. This is not going to look just like him because he doesn't have lines all over his face. He doesn't have a lot of what I'm going to have in this drawing. And that's okay. Taking your time with a continuous line drawing is important. It's important for us to stop and really look at something for what it is, not for how we want to see it. While I'm doing this, I might make mistakes. That's okay. This isn't really, again, this isn't a type of art style where you're trying to get every line perfect. You want to aim to try to get it as accurate as you can, but if you mess up, it's okay. You're doing something with a little bit of a hindrance because you're drawing someone or something and you can't erase and you can't pick up your pencil. Like, that's a lot of little things working against your brain right now. Let it bother you. Just keep on going with it. You'll see that I kind of left drawing Mr. Hand there. That's okay. Because I'm not really drawing him, I'm drawing the whole scene. So if your line kind of moves away from your subject, in this case, the person, that's fine. Just keep on going with it. Have fun with it. Go whatever direction you want to go. Go whatever way you think is appropriate for your drawing. Go with what you feel. Some of my friends are perfectionists. You're going to be really struggling with this because you're wanting to try to get every line just perfect. To my friends that are worrying about all of that, here's my advice. Go slow. The slower you are, the less kind of sloppy, if I want to use that word, the less sloppy the final image will be. I'm just kind of laid back with this right now. I'm not worried about trying to do this so it's like photorealistic. There are artists that can, but I don't know. I think when you're learning this, not worrying about what it looks like, I think is super, super important. Again, this is an exercise. It's not getting hung in a museum. We're just kind of going through the experience of doing this. Once you get to about half of your image or a third of your image, I want to introduce something to you that I think might help some of your images to be more interesting looking. Oh, first though, you'll notice on the photograph there's very little distance between his arm and this. On my picture, I made a big difference. So now as an artist, I have to make a decision of how am I going to fix that. There are different kinds of lines, and I talked to you about that in the video about the elements of art. We have light lines and we have dark lines. We have long lines and we have short lines, or dots even. We have wide lines and we have thin lines. And we have my personal favorite, the variable pressure line. So I push down, I ease up. 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 We also have the intermittent line. These different kinds of lines are what give an image variety, especially if it's just a line drawing like what we're doing today. So we're going to go back to the continuous line drawing, and I want you to kind of practice with that. Practice occasionally making a line darker or wider. Hold your pencil in different ways. Watch my hand carefully as I kind of finish up this picture.
By the way, that's why we are not using mechanical pencils, is because a mechanical pencil is really good for writing. And it's really good for doing like grid work when you're doing geometry, but it doesn't work so great with variable pressure, with line width, different things like that. The wood pencil has a piece of graphite that's thick enough where you can get that variety of lines. The mechanical pencil just kind of gives you the same line every time, all the time. Yeah, you can go a little lighter and you can go darker, but that's about it.
I messed up around these menus or whatever the heck these papers are. That's fine. Don't worry about it. Just see what you can do to course correct and keep on going. I kind of covered up his whole arm with these, and in the actual photograph, they're not covered. Again, It's okay. Don't let it bother you. Just keep going. I guess he's just going to have some more pages there, more signs than he had originally. You come across something complex like the fencing that's back in this region right here. Break it down into small pieces, but start with big pieces. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to say, okay, that fencing is covering up the general shape of this door. 3, 4. They're not spaced perfectly, but again, I'm doing a continuous line drawing. I can't use a ruler, so my lines are going to be straight, or lines are going to be crooked. Have fun with it. Don't overthink this stuff. Don't drive yourself crazy trying to get every little detail put in there. Just have a good time drawing. You'll notice I'm going right to the edges of the paper. You should also. You're filling that whole sketchbook page with this drawing. I shouldn't see a big border around the drawing. That's wasted paper. Go right to the edges with it. Looking at that chain, I'm looking to see the weight, the scale behind him kind of meets up with his shoulder right about here. So I'm going to have the chain go down, have my scale come down. A lot of this is going to be kind of looking at how things relate to each other, how do they interact, and where do they interact. So the wood plank here kind of gets cut off at the top of my page. That's fine. You don't have to draw it. If it gets cut off, don't try to squeeze it in there. Our brain has a habit of doing that. Don't let that happen. I keep on working my way through the image. I see getting kind of out of focus. I'm going to make it lighter, fuzzier lines. Photograph itself is getting more and more out of focus, so I'm getting lighter and fuzzier with my lines. In the background, I can see melons or something back there, and my brain's going to say melons are round, and I'm going to draw a circle. I want to fight against that. I want to draw what I actually see, which are these portions of circles, these oblong shapes. Sometimes what our brain knows is not actually what we end up seeing. As I move further back there, things getting more blurry. My brain's going to want to try to make sense of what it sees. Don't let it. I can't tell if that's a house back there or what. It doesn't matter. Just draw what you see. Just draw the shapes that you can see. I don't want to let my brain decide what I see. I want to just draw what I see. All right, at this point, I have a lot of lines going on here. I don't have as many back here. I'm going to take my pencil, work it right over to the other side. And I'm going to look and say, did I actually finish up all this? And the answer is no. Going back to our lines, we have lines that are thick and thin. So I'm going to draw these two circles. Both are lines. There's no shading. What I'm going to do is on one of these two circles, I'm going to take my pencil, I'm going to go sideways. I'm going to thicken one line. One of these circles now looks like it has weight to it. If I put a line at the bottom to represent shadow, you'll notice this one's starting to look more like it's three-dimensional. All I did was thicken a line. So what I'm going to do is just take a couple minutes, and I'm going to use more variety of lines. I probably, for the most part, only have one or two types of lines on here right now. I'm going to play around with it. So I'm just going to go over top of some of my existing lines. I kind of messed up on that shoulder, so I'm going to darken it in a little bit. I'm going to darken things that are on the bottoms of objects. So wherever I see an object, I'm going to take my line. Where that object touches the ground, I'm just going to thicken it up just a little bit there. You may be saying, but Mr. Morris, the lines in the actual image aren't dark. You're right, but there are no lines in the actual image. I can't walk into this scene and pick a line up. Lines are abstract ideas. If I want to make thicker ones, that's my prerogative. Play around with it. Light, dark, thin and thick. Give me more of a variety. Our eye craves that variety. So show it. Don't ever be afraid of turning your artwork. Don't ever be afraid of changing it so that you can do what it is that you need to do. If an area is dark, then the lines around it should be darker. If an area is light, the lines around it should be lighter. Of course, someone's got to start a lawnmower as I'm filming. Alright, I could keep on going on, playing around with different kinds of lines. Why a lawnmower now? I could keep playing around with that. I could keep on enhancing the drawing. Feel free to go as far from this point as you want. For right now, though, you can see I'm going to put this side by side. All right, look at how the first image looked versus the second. Look at how much it changed by me just thickening a couple lines, how much more dynamic it makes the drawing. Is it done? Is a study? Sure. If I wanted to make this into more of a finished piece of artwork, I'd want to keep on polishing it and working on it. But this is your first studio. This should take you about 30 minutes. Might take you a little bit more, shouldn't take you much less. Take your time, fill the page, go right to the edges, right to the edges. Don't make it so when I look at it, it's this little image right here. Blow it up. This dude's head looks huge. Look at this, it's giant. I totally messed that up. I made his head way too big, but that's okay. This is a contour line drawing. It's really, again, an exercise that I'm doing right now. I haven't been doing contour line drawings for 20 years. I don't have the practice. I'm not an artist that specializes in contour line drawings. Neither are you. Continuous line drawings, I should say. But have fun with it. See what you can do. Don't trouble yourself with what it looks like. Just make it. Artists, that's your first studio. Let's get on to your second one. By the way, don't do these in the same day. Give yourself a break.